had such high hopes for this trilogy. I'm still disappointed. Halloween 2019 stars Jamie Lee Curtis, Judy Greer, and James Judd Courtney as Michael Myers. The story follows the psychopathic murderer Michael Myers, who is now in prison but eventually escapes on Halloween night in order to get revenge on Laurie Strode, who is the sole survivor of Michael's past killing spree. Michael will stop at nothing to find Laurie Strode and kill her once and for all, while Laurie is preparing herself to fight back against the evil incarnate. I'm one of those people that really enjoyed Halloween 2018. I think that it was a really fresh take on the Michael Myers story. We've had like numerous retcons, numerous remakes of this of character, and I think that Halloween 2018 did it really well. It had a really interesting story to say, and I think that what this trilogy really sort of failed at is telling a cohesive story throughout three movies. You can see that the talent's there for the first film. Danny McBride and David Gordon Green really crafted a great story and a suspenseful film. I thought that the first movie had great scares, really intense moments, great violence. And I just love what they did with Laurie Strode. I thought that they made her badass. They had her prepare for Michael to come back and to get her, because Michael has been like in a prison for the past like 30 years or something, because he got caught on the night that he tried to kill Laurie Strode, which is like a big departure for the Halloween canon, because he never gets caught. And I thought that was like a brilliant way to approach this story. And while just minor missteps in this movie, like a few boring moments, a few characters that you just don't care about, and then they get killed off, I think that this movie was superbly done. I like the way it starts, the way like these podcasters, they go to visit Michael and they want him to speak, just like show him his mask, and they're like, say something, and Michael never opens his mouth, and as he shouldn't. Like, Michael Myers should never speak. If he does, it would almost like break canon. He doesn't need to speak. He doesn't need to utter one word just to be terrifying. And I like the way this movie opened. I think that it's really well thought out. I like the characters. I like Laurie Strode's daughter, and I like her niece, Allison. I think that they really developed their family dynamic well, and they really did a good job here. I know that a lot of people don't actually like this reboot, but I do. I think that it's really well done, and I like it almost all the way through. This is one of the best Halloween films. I think that Jamie Lee Curtis gives the best performance of her entire Laurie Strode films. I think that here she is wonderful. She really gets time to shine also. Like, you can tell that she's broken. She doesn't have a good relationship with her niece and her daughter, because they both think that she's gone crazy. But like, of course, like, Michael Myers would do that to you. He tried to murder her. He killed some of her friends. Like, she probably remembers that night every time she goes to sleep. And like, the alcohol is probably the only thing that like makes her continue. And she is almost like waiting for Michael to come back. She knows he's gonna come back eventually to kill her. So she has like her house like set up. She has like booby traps all around her house. And she is trained. She is ready to kill. She's almost like a Terminator machine. She is awesome in this movie. I also really like Michael Myers in this film. I think that he was really well done. He's scary, and like, he is really menacing. I like that this movie revolves around the two of them. Like, that's why you did this movie. You did it to have Laurie Strode face off against Michael Myers one more time, and I think that they did it beautifully here. Unfortunately, they didn't do that for Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends really well, but I think that they did it superbly with Halloween 2018. The only aspect I think that doesn't work here is like the twist with the doctor who helps Michael escape. Like that's thing that really I think that most people would say about this movie is really dumb. It makes no sense. It's just like thrown at you and you're just supposed to accept it, I guess. We really didn't have to have the doctor have Michael escape. Like he could have just escaped on his own and that's it. You didn't really need the doctor character. He was just there, and I think that really hurt the film a little bit because this scene is just terrible. It's one of the worst scenes in otherwise like good movie. Like if you think like about a good movie and like one scene can almost ruin the entire film, this is it. Like the doctor scene in Halloween 2018 is just awful. It makes no sense, and it's just there to, I guess, keep the suspense going. But even then, I don't think that it's a very good scene. It just doesn't add anything to the overall experience. And so Michael crashes on this bus, and like he goes on this killing spree until he reaches Laurie Strode, and the two of them, they face off. Laurie knows that Michael has escaped, so like the cops are there, and Michael just kills the cops that are protecting her, and he manages to arrive into the house in order to kill her, like everyone she knows. And so he kills Karen's husband, Jay, who I thought was alright in the film. Like he wasn't one of my favorite characters, so like if he gets killed, whatever. So he kills him, and then I like the entire finale. I like how she manages to trap him down in the basement, and then the basement just like. And then the entire house just goes to flames. She knew that this was like the end game for Michael, and she captures him. She wins. Like she wins here. If Michael wasn't written like in such a supernatural way, like she would have won easily. Like things could have ended here. And I think it would have been a perfect conclusion. Like Laurie escapes with her daughter Karen and Allison in this truck, and Michael just burns alive. Like that would have been a fantastic ending to the Michael Myers story. But you had to do Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends. Halloween Kills, I think, is a little better than Halloween Ends, but it's just so boring. It doesn't really excite me at all. It's just there to have like this middle chapter of a trilogy that doesn't really know where it's going. It reminds me almost of the Star Wars sequel trilogy. It reminds me exactly like that scenario, actually. It reminds me of how like great The Force Awakens was and how divisive The Last Jedi is, but they don't feel like the same movie at all. I like The Last Jedi. I think that it's a great film, but they don't feel like the same. And then you have The Rise of Skywalker, which I don't know what that was. I think that was such a misstep. Here it feels the same. It really does. It feels like it had no plan for this trilogy, and they only had plans for like 2018 version of Halloween, and then they decided to make this entire trilogy, and I don't think that it works. I think that it was poorly thought out, and Halloween Kills is just another example. It's such a boring film. It had really corny moments as well, like the evil dies tonight Chan is just really stupid. I'm sorry, it takes me out of the film every time they say it. And I get like how that these are victims of Michael Myers. They're still alive and they still like have just like wounds of Michael, but at the same time, like a lot of people in this town are like super angry, the town of Haydensfield. But would you really be this angry for like a murderer that killed like just only 5 people? Because he only killed like 4 or 5 people that night. And in the sequel, in Halloween 2 1982, he kills a lot more people. It would have made more sense to me if like they had kept their sequel canon, and they just like made like the whole town angry. I think that would have made more sense to me, because like why would you be so angry about something that happened like 30 years ago, and like you're going after Michael, and you're doing justice, committing justice by your own hands. It's like just so dumb, and it really is. It feels really forced. Like, thing in this movie shows like the justice system that is rigged, and like you're not really in favor of these people that are going after Michael. Like, you understand them, but you're not really with them because the movie doesn't show that to you why they would do this. And so that's my main problem with this movie. It feels kind of like just pointless because also you set up Laurie Strode versus Michael Myers in the first film, but you don't really follow that up here in this film. Laurie has nothing to do here in this film. She just doesn't. Like, no trilogy just does that. Like, you have to follow the same characters you set up in the first installment in the second and third installment to have a payoff, because the payoff here isn't really all that satisfying. And I think that it was a really poorly decision to have her like be in the background and just come up with new characters in this second act, and some of them are pretty funny. But I think that one of renaming qualities of Halloween Kills, that there are a lot of good, satisfying murders. It's a slasher movie through and through. Now, I don't think that this makes the movie have like a good narrative, a good story. I think the narrative in Halloween Kills is by far the weakest part, and to me, I need more than just blood, gore, in horror movies. I need good characters, a good story, and just a competent direction. And I don't think that Halloween Kills has that for the most part. Laurie is wounded. She goes to the hospital. She's in the hospital for most of the film. She doesn't do anything. I like the scene where like the crowd goes after somebody that they think is Michael Myers, but that results in this guy's death. They don't have the right person. Obviously, the guy, he doesn't have like the same height as Michael. So like, I don't really get that. But yeah, they go after him. He gets killed off. He kills himself because like people want to kill him, and he sees like no way out. And Laurie witnesses this, and like she understands the carnage and like and what like evil can do. But at the same time, now it's the townsfolk that are creating this evil. Like, that's why you're not really on the same page with them, because like they just make things worse almost. Like, they're not helping the situation at all. They're just making things worse. The best part of Halloween Kills by far to me is how like they do this flashback at the beginning, and it looks exactly like the first Halloween. The way it's done, the way it's shot, the atmosphere, the mask looks exactly like it did in the first one. I thought those scenes were really fantastic in this movie. I would have really almost like accepted like an entire flashback movie of this night. Like, I would have loved that. Maybe like don't have him get arrested like as soon as he leaves the house. Like, this could have been like an entire film. I just loved it. But yeah, I thought it was a better story in the flashback scenes, like with the two cops. It was a better story than what they came up with this movie. Now, the ending here, I am like lukewarm on. I like that Michael kills Karen. I think that's a tragic ending. I just don't like the fact that it's like the townsfolk that they just stab at Michael, they brutally wound him, and he's still alive. He doesn't die. He just keeps on living. They almost kill him, but they don't. Nobody like thinks about like just slicing his head and be done with it. No, they don't think that. Like, he manages to escape or something. I don't know. It's just a bit dumb the way this movie ends. Like, you should have kept the focus on Laurie and Michael. I just think that the story isn't really all that captivating. And the next movie, Halloween Ends, is even worse. I just think that Halloween Ends is one of the worst films I've ever seen in my life. It's just a boring mess of a movie. I think that the opening 5 minutes are great. Like, the opening of Halloween Ends like really works. I love that we are focusing on Corey here. He's like this babysitter, and like this tragic accident happens, and he's responsible for the death of a child. And I think that's great because like it shows like that evil is still out there. It's gonna be out there no matter what. But then you have to focus on this kid, this Corey kid, for the entire film. He's almost like the main character now for some reason, and they do the same thing that they did with Halloween Kills. They don't focus on Laurie Strode here, even though she's in the marketing. She's all over the marketing, as is Michael Myers. But Michael Myers is only in 10 minutes of this movie. I don't understand that. Like, you can have Michael Myers sparingly, that's fine. It's all about like how he's executed, but the way Michael's portrayed doesn't really make him all that important to the story. You could have had this movie without Michael Myers and just had focused on this Corey kid. And you could have just said like, oh, he's another Michael Myers. I think that would have worked better, having like Michael Myers as this like mentor or something. That just doesn't really feel right. It doesn't work at all, because Michael Myers doesn't care about passing his torch. He doesn't care about that. He just wants to kill as many people as he fucking can. So this entire movie, I think, doesn't make sense, and you have like this boring romance between Allison and Corey, and you're just like waiting for this movie to reach its conclusion. It's like almost insufferable. And in the meantime, you have Laurie, like she's like retired. She's writing novels. She doesn't do anything in this movie. Like, I feel like Jamie Lee Curtis is almost phoning it in, because she has no point in being in this movie. She almost doesn't matter. It's all about this Corey kid. Like, Corey has become the main focus of Halloween Ends, and I just don't like that. You could have just made him appear at the beginning of the film. I think it would have been a cool way to open the film. And then we go on this final act between Laurie and Michael. Like, just make them fight, then that's it. You don't need to make things so artistic so that people can enjoy it. I get what they were trying to do with this movie. It just doesn't work, in my opinion. Nothing works about Halloween Ends. I think that it's one of the weakest entries in the franchise. It's so like heavy-handed, and you don't really care. The finale of this movie happens at Laurie's house. Corey becomes like completely possessed by the dark side. He's become evil now, and like Michael kills him, and then Laurie like gets the upper hand. She stabs him multiple times down on her kitchen table, and yeah, she just slits his throat, and that's it. I would have liked maybe a longer fight in this film. I think that the fight is really too fast. It's too rushed. And I think that Michael should have had the upper hand a lot more on Laurie. But in this movie, he's nearly dead. He's just like a walking corpse at this point. And I just don't like that. Even though he gets wounded a lot in Halloween Kills. But it just comes to show that when you don't have a plan, you don't know what to do with your main characters, that's like not good for your story. It just doesn't really work. So she slits his throat. Michael dies. Allison arrives like when he's grabbing her throat. She saves Laurie, even though like Laurie wasn't really in real danger. She saves her, and that's it. Michael finally dies for real this time. And so they bring his body to a dumpster shedder, and like they call the cops. The cops follow them, and like now the entire town follows them almost. And I think it's just really underwhelming. That's the word I would use for this ending, because like if the entire film would have been great before that, like this ending would have been awesome, it would have been amazing, but it just wasn't. And yeah, this movie ends on a really poor note. Like, Michael is dead, but you don't really care. And then Laurie, I guess, is gonna live happily ever after now. And yeah, that's the way this entire trilogy ends. I feel very underwhelmed by it all. I think that the movie should have ended in Halloween 2018, because if Michael hadn't escaped, like, things would have been done. I think it would have been perfect that way. Like, I thought that we were getting the 2018 version because they had a plan and they were going to finally end this franchise once and for all. But no, we're going to actually get more Halloween movies, or a series. I think it's a series on Michael Myers, but I just think at this point, like, we've seen it all. I don't know what else they can do with this character. What I would like is seeing, like, almost the anthology films, Halloween anthology movies. And that would be cool, like they did with Season of the Witch. I know it wasn't received well, but maybe it received better now, like, that we live in a different time. That's possible. But yeah, I just think that this trilogy is weak, and Halloween Ends is one of my least favorites Halloween movies for sure. Maybe not the least because there are a lot of bad ones in this franchise, but I just think that it's really a poor film. So yeah, those are the reasons why I think that the Halloween trilogy like should have been just one film. The new Halloween trilogy. I think that 2018 was the best one by far. Let me know what you think about all of these movies. Like, what was your favorite film in this series? Because I know a lot of people do like all three of them. I just am not one of them, and but that's fine if you like Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends also. Yeah, let me know what you think down in the comments below. So yeah, please like, comment, please subscribe, and see you next time. Bye.
Maybe the only way he can die is if I die too. It all ends now. You came here to kill me, so do it.